Hello, today I'm going to be talking about a Legend of Zelda RPG I just came up with last night. I was watching a playthrough of the original Legend of Zelda and I thought, oh, I could make something with this, and it's real simple. This is it. So I'll go ahead and explain it. You have a character, their name obviously. The levels range from 1 through 10, and you have your life, which is your hearts from Zelda, that range from 3 to 10. At level 1, you start with 3 hearts. You add a heart every level up until you max out at 10. That means you're going to max out with 10 hearts at level 8. Level 9 and 10, you don't get more hearts because 10 is enough. You have 3 main stats: power, wisdom, and courage. At level 1, you'll allocate 3 points between power, wisdom, and courage. So you could do all 3 here. You could do 1, 1, 1. You could do 0, 2, 1, whatever you like. But that will stay the same throughout the game. When you level up, these don't change. So choose wisely. Another thing to consider is that there are certain things you can only do with a max power or max courage or max wisdom. So on a power roll, or say like a weapon roll, say sword, you need a roll of 12 to do a double strike, which is a critical hit, means just double damage. But you can only do that with max power. Or say if you want to evade capture or evade a combat, you can only get the whole party to evade with a roll of 12, so you need max courage for that. I didn't really think of one for wisdom, but the point is that you have to consider those things. Okay. Also, you have 13 actions. So you can think of them as skills. I call them actions or primary actions because there could be other things you could conceivably do that could be considered an action, like that's limitless. So, but these would be the primary actions or skills, whatever you want to call them. You allocate 4 points to any of the 13 primary actions at level 1. They could be, again, they could all be in the same thing, 4 points in boomerang, or they could be 1, 1, 1, 1, whatever you want to do. And then you allocate 1 point to any of the 13 primary actions on level ups. So you'll put 1 point wherever you like on a level up. The primary actions are, for power, it's sword, which, or I'll just explain them all. Sword, shield, bow, and boomerang. For wisdom, it's investigate, perceive, talk, animals, and magic rod. And for courage, it's evade, hide, bomb, and surprise. So this is how the game works. You'll roll a d6 when you want to do something, and then add whatever bonuses are applicable. So say I wind up in a combat. It's me and my buddies against some, I don't know, goblins or, I don't know, monsters of some kind, skeletons, whatever. Say I want to use my sword on them. I roll the d6 and I add whatever my bonus is here. Say I have a 3, and then I have a 3 here. So that's 6 plus my die roll. Say I get a 5, that's an 11. The monster has a fight difficulty. Say if the fight difficulty is 8, that means I hit the monster and I deal whatever damage, probably 1 heart of damage, unless I have a better weapon. Again, if I have a roll of 12, I could do double the hearts of damage, or I could choose to split it up between 2 monsters. So it's a little more versatile than a normal critical hit. Shield, that's something that you would only use in certain cases. So let me explain. I explain what happens if you do hit the fight difficulty. You damage the monster. If you roll a 1, you automatically fail your roll and the monster hits you instead. If you fail the roll but it's not a 1, um, then you would roll your shield to see if the monster hits you back instead. So that's what the shield is for. You can have your shield equipped while you're holding pretty much most of these things, but you can't have it equipped while you're holding the bow or the magic rod. That might be different from the game, but that's just how I'm doing it. The bow is great because you can hit from far away. In order to, so the thing that kind of balances that out is that if you want to get, you can't really use the bow in a combat like skirmish, so you'd have to get out of it and be far away and use the bow. So that's where evade comes in. If you successfully evade and beat the escape difficulty, then you get out of that skirmish and you're able to use your bow. And so you'll you won't incur any attacks because you're out of the skirmish, and yet you can still do damage. Yeah. So that's really neat. But if, say, so here's a skirmish, you got out of the skirmish, you're thinking, this is great, I can't be damaged at all. The monsters can still come to you, or say something else could come from way over here and come to you, and then you'd be all alone. So it's something you'd want to weigh if you want to do or not. Boomerang is also ranged. If you miss, it comes back to you. If you hit them, it does damage and it stuns them for a round. But if it does hit them, it doesn't come back to you. You'd have to use a turn to go pick it up. Yeah. Investigate would be used to excuse me, to like find hidden things, like, I don't know, a crack in the wall or something like that, or a jewel or a symbol, something hidden. Perceive could be used for people, like, oh, kind of like intuition, or it could be used for like, do I know, I'm not really investigating something or trying to figure something out, but I do notice something about the room I'm in or the creature I'm dealing with. Talk is for social situations, whether you're kind of trying to get a better price, or sweet talking somebody, or impressing someone, or just whatever kind of talk. Animals is something I added in because I could conceivably see players wanting to ride animals, or, you know, direct animals or something. So that would be used for like taming a horse or something like that. Magic rod is the only weapon that doesn't use power. It uses your wisdom. And it's like the bow, it's ranged. When you, so there's always better versions of all the weapons. One thing about the magic rod is when you upgrade it to a better rod, it not just does ranged magic, but it's like ranged fire, and it can burn down trees or something. The upgraded, let's see, I think the upgraded boomerang bows and swords like become magical, and they can deal damage to ghosts. The shield can become magical and protect you from like energy blasts and things like that, or lightning bolts or whatever. Okay, I explained already what evade does. It gets you out of a combat or skirmish, whatever you want to call it. Hide lets you hide behind something. Bomb Oh yeah, I misspoke earlier. There is a weapon that doesn't use power as well. The bomb. It uses courage. Um, and I guess you noticed by now it seems kind of weird using courage for these. It's sort of a stand-in for dexterity, but it's also kind of making sense. Like you have to use courage to weave through the enemies and place this thing and then run away. Um, or you're gonna hide, yes, but you're gonna jump out and surprise them or something. So that's why I'm using courage. Um, yeah, bombs can be used to break down um, cracks and rocks and things like that, or deal better damage. And surprise is when you're hidden, you roll surprise to see if you can get the drop on someone, and that way you don't even have to roll to beat the fight difficulty. You just have to beat the surprise difficulty, which is often way lower. Yeah, so these are monsters. They'll have their own hearts. A fight difficulty, which is adjusted by the difference in the number of monsters and heroes in the skirmish. Escape difficulty has the same adjustment. The hide difficulty, which is adjusted just by the number of monsters. Talk difficulty, if it's an unintelligent monster, you can't really talk to them. But if it's an intelligent person, it might represent kind of how stubborn they are or something like that. And surprise difficulty, which is adjusted by the number of combatants. And combatants are defined as people involved in a skirmish. So if it's just 4 monsters and there's no heroes, that's considered no combatants. But if there's 4 monsters and 2 heroes or something, some variation of that, that would be considered 6 combatants. There's the environment. If it's open, escape difficulty -2. You can't hide in the open. Limited is just a neutral terrain, and a crowded terrain makes escape difficulty +2 and hide difficulty -2. If you find a piece of the Triforce, if you find the power one, you make all power or power rolls with advantage. So you roll 2d6s and take the higher one. Same thing, if you find the wisdom piece of the Triforce, advantage on those. Encourage, Triforce gets you advantage on those. If you put all 3 together, it has to be put together by someone who is balanced with all power, wisdom, and courage. Let's see. There's lots of the items from the game, including the ones I listed. There's candles, boats, ladders. There's magic rings, which reduce the damage you take by 1 heart, or an improved ring, maybe by 2 hearts. What else? That's pretty much the game there. Yeah. And you could, you don't have to make it exactly like the dungeons in the game or exactly how the original Zelda game works. Probably be boring if you did, actually, but this is something you could start off with and change it how you like. Anyway, I just had a lot of fun converting a Zelda game into a tabletop RPG. And anyway, that's all for today. May your next game be your best game.